At the point when you consider hazardous creatures, the most widely recognized ones that individuals consider are sharks, bears, and other huge animals like that. Anyway, one of the most destructive animals to exist today is one that has scarcely changed for a long period of time, the crocodile, and they are similarly as dangerous today as they were back during ancient times. This story occurred in the nation of Costa Rica. The actual country is rough and holds enormous rainforested regions, barely contacted by people. Costa Rica is known for its delightful seashores, entrancing volcanoes, and its colossal biodiversity. About a fourth of its area is comprised of safeguarded wilderness overflowing with natural life, including bug monkeys and cattle birds. Anyway, Costa Rica is likewise home to the biggest number of American crocodiles on the planet, which is what's going on with this story. There are two primary types of crocodile in Costa Rica, the American crocodile and the spectacled caiman. While you would have no desire to meet it, it's possible that one in the water, it is the American crocodile, which you want to pay special attention to. These reptiles can grow up to 6 m long, in spite of the fact that there have been a few instances of them developing significantly bigger. As grown-ups, they can likewise arrive at more than 2,000 lb in weight, which is all unadulterated muscle. Crocodiles and caiman are rapacious, implying that they just eat meat, and they aren't particular about where it comes from. Possibly they will eat anything they can get, from birds to fish, iguanas, turtles, deer, and even people. Anything is fair game to these reptiles. It isn't not difficult to stay away from these creatures, either, as they will generally live in waterways, swamps, tidal ponds, little islands, and have been known to try and wander into the sea once in a while. However, what makes them so startling is that they are incredibly effective trackers. Crocodiles are very patient creatures, and their hunting strategies spin around their capacity to hang tight for quite a long time. The reptiles chase by covertly following their prey from the water. Whenever it has gotten its prey, it turns out to be basically unimaginable for it to get away from. This is on the grounds that crocodiles have the most grounded nibble force on the planet, and when they clip their jaws onto their prey, they don't frequently let it go again. With the striving prey in its jaws, a crocodile will then, at that point, drag the other creature into the water and suffocate it. Then, at that point, eats its prey by gnawing off enormous pieces of meat and gulps down them. Not a destiny that anybody would wish to meet anyway. Certain individuals aren't that fortunate. Jesus Alberto Lopez Ortiz, nicknamed Chuco, was a 29-year elderly person who lived in a little town close to the town of Scenic Cruz in Costa Rica. He had lived there for his entire life and had figured out how to make somewhat of a name for himself by turning into a semi-proficient football player for his nearby group. He likewise had a spouse and 2 youngsters who he cherished beyond a doubt, and while he wasn't really rich, Jesus cherished his life as he got to play his one game for cash like bunches of football crews. Jesus and his partners frequently needed to get together for instructional courses. It was while Jesus was doing one of these meetings, however, that misfortune struck. It had been an unquestionably warm day in July 2023 in Costa Rica, and Jus and his group were depleted from their instructional meeting. The sun had been thumping on them the entire day, and the gathering of men were boiling under its rankling beams as Jesus investigated at the close-by stream. It was then that he had a thought. The water looked so welcoming and cool that the young fellow just couldn't resist the opportunity to hurl himself entirely into it. While this could have appeared to be an extraordinary method for chilling off at first, it immediately became obvious that it was one of the most deadliest thoughts as Jesus had at any point had. The stream that he had bounced into was the Canis waterway, an area of water where crocodiles were known to possess. Not contemplating the risks which could be prowling close by, Jesus started to wash himself in the waterway. All the young fellow knew was that he was hot, furthermore damp with sweat, and that he needed to tidy himself up a piece anyway. The states of the stream didn't help Jesus' possibilities staying away from a crocodile. The water was dim and exceedingly difficult to see through. This implied that any risky reptiles swimming in it wouldn't be seen. Until they chose to spread the word, and unfortunately, the unavoidable occurred. In 1 second Jesus was cheerfully washing himself in the water, snickering to his colleagues, back on the shore, and in the following he had vanished. Jesus' partners couldn't trust what they had recently seen. It had been only seconds yet. Jesus had been hauled under the water quickly. At first the group laughed a tad, feeling that Jesus was essentially pulling a prank on them. He could never have been whenever that the young fellow first attempted to deceive them anyway. While they whipping started, they, before long, comprehended that the circumstance was not a giggling matter. In the meantime, the 29-year-old footballer was caught in the jaws of an enormous crocodile, and it was ravenous. Jesus attempted his hardest to make the creature let go of him, smacking it in the face with as much strength as possible. Yet the crocodile was undeterred. Rather, the lethal reptile started to go into a passing roll. This is a strategy crocodiles use to curb and perplex their prey. The reptile starts turning, unquestionably quick pivoting, however many times as it can, all while keeping their prey in their mouth. The shock of the turning, and how savage it is, much of the time makes the prey wheeze out for air anyway. In light of the fact that they are submerged, this prompts suffocating as a rule, and this is precisely exact thing happened to Jesus. His partners alongside the group, which had framed along the bank of the stream, watched with dismay as Jesus and the crocodile flailed uncontrollably in the water. Seemingly hours after the fact, despite the fact that it was just minutes, the whipping reached a conclusion, and the water turned out to be still again then, ascending from the profundities of the waterway. A sight which really damaged the people who saw it. The crocodile rose to the highest point of the stream, conveying Jesus' body in its seat. Mouth. The lethal reptile continued to swim around with Jesus' body, plainly ensuring that no other hunter could get its hard-battled for feast. Not ready to leave their companion's body in the jaws of the crocodile, volunteers started attempting to isolate the reptile from Jesus. Tragically, regardless of many endeavors to do this calmly, the crocodile essentially wouldn't deliver. The footballer, seeing that there could have been no other decision, a neighborhood snatched his weapon from his home and shot the crocodile once the creature was dead. The workers then, at that point, wandered into the waterway to recover both the creature's body and Jesus's, while Costa Rica's Service of Climate and Energy denies the hunting or killing of safeguarded creatures. For example, crocodiles. An examination was not completed, as it was clarified that local people just did it if all else fails. Once Jesus' body was securely back ashore, his family chose to cover him in the neighborhood graveyard anyway. They would never have known exactly the number of individuals the 29-year-old footballer that had contacted in the course of his life. Upon the arrival of his burial service, Jesus' parade was gone to by north of 1,000 individuals, which were all either his loved ones or individuals. All that he had helped during his life, since football had been his obsession. Jesus' partners and his mentor went to the burial service. When it came time to give their tributes, the group's mentor said that Haz would be recognized as a humble, supportive, and quiet individual, popular with his colleagues, a declaration that could be confirmed considering how much individuals who went to his memorial service. In view of the assault, the Costa Rican government has begun to explore ways that they can make waterways more safe for individuals. They desire to lessen how much lethal associations among people and crocodiles, which ideally will bring about better agreement between the two species and forestall